Potential Republican presidential candidate Jeb Bush has his own problems to deal with. The former Florida governor getting a big thumbs down as a potential candidate from likely GOP primary voters. That, according to a new WSJ-NBC poll. Patrick O'Connor works knee-deep in presidential campaign politics for the Wall Street Journal, and he joins us with the details. Thanks for being there, sir.
Thanks a lot for having me.
So we've got some results on this poll, and it says no, big thumbs down. 42% saying no thanks to Jeb Bush. Now, admittedly, 49% are saying yes, but that's still a fairly hefty lot saying no, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a big chunk of the electorate. The only three people who did worse in the poll were Chris Christie, the New Jersey governor, who's, I think, at 57% said no. Donald Trump, the real estate mogul turned reality TV star, who may or may not run, and Lindsey Graham, the South Carolina senator, who was in Iowa and New Hampshire over the weekend and has been a pretty staunch supporter of comprehensive immigration reform. So these are very high numbers for Jeb Bush. I think there was always going to be some trepidation with him, not just because of his last name, but also because of the positions that he's taken on immigration and on education, his support for Common Core. But I think these numbers were higher than maybe I would have expected them to be. They've been higher. They were higher in this poll than they had been in past polls.
Yeah, and this Donald Trump number is really quite resounding. And there's a big margin of error there on this poll. Donald Trump, 74%. That could mean up to over 80% saying no to him based on that margin of error. Now, what we also know is that early polls are a bit of a hit and miss thing, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I mean, you can't take these to the bank. We've got a long way to go. Most of these guys haven't even declared their candidacy at this point, including Jeb Bush. So he's got a long time to make his case to voters. I think what the poll shows, though, is that there is a very high level of skepticism for his candidacy, particularly among people who identify as kind of the Tea Party wing of the Republican Party. So, and those are not necessarily the people that were going to rally behind his candidacy anyways. It's going to be a big, open, crowded field. They're going to have a lot of candidates. I think what this shows, though, is that he doesn't have a lot of room to maneuver. He's going to have to really go after those kind of more establishment Republicans, get them on board, and then maybe play at the margins with some of the conservative groups. But in the early weeks, he's been pitching this conservative message, and I think he kind of, at the very least, wants to blunt the attacks of some of his more conservative.
Patrick, we just heard a clip from Dianne Feinstein saying that Hillary is the preeminent candidate from both parties. That's very interesting, given that there really isn't a standout person on the Republican side. Is this going to be a lot of infighting? I mean, what is the advantage of having a lot of candidates and a lot of squabbling between them, and maybe it's drawn out? This is on the Republican side.
Yeah, I mean, the best example would be 2008 with the Democrats. We all wrote stories about how that was such a bitter fight and that they weren't going to overcome it. But in the end, Barack Obama cruised to victory, and they were able to build party organizations in places where the party had not competed in many years. So, I mean, I think that's the best case scenario for Republicans. But I think by all measure, unless someone really surprises, it's going to be a crowded field. The numbers, which we will be releasing all of tonight, show that there's really no clear front runner, and that, as you noted, this could go very long. So I think Republicans should buckle up and be prepared for what could be, and we'll see what the tone is, a long and possibly nasty nominating fight.
And then there's the money side of things too that has to be raised. I mean, part of what goes on during these campaigns and pre-campaigns and pre-campaigns is the raising of a ton of money. The more money, the better going out there. It isn't always enough to have a lot of money, but it cannot be done without a lot of money. How will these polls play into that?
Well, I mean, in this instance, that's where Jeb is the clear frontrunner. By all accounts, even those of his rivals, he seems to be racking up big donors faster than anybody else can put out fundraising emails. So I think that will be one of the biggest cards he has to play in the race, is that presumably he's going to have a lot more money than anybody else to spend, both with his campaign and an affiliated super PAC that will be able to raise limitless sums from these donors. So early on, I don't think we've seen a lot of the other candidates kind of go build their cash advantages, but Jeb really seems to be out there ahead of the rest of the field, and that is probably going to be the thing that he's going to need to kind of beat back some of these critics or some of the skepticism that Republicans have about his candidacy.
Okay, well, we shall see. Thank you very much, Patrick O'Connor of the Wall Street Journal. We appreciate your time.